Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, and the Chicago Bears host Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, and the Green Bay Packers in a pivotal Week 16 matchup at Soldier Field. This one is going to be special. The winner of this game most likely wins the division. It's the game of the year in the NFC North, and the way things are situated with the seeding, it's going to look like the winner of the North will get that number 2 seed in the NFL playoffs. The Chicago Bears, they came up just shy against Green Bay at Lambeau, but they feel like they had so much momentum at the end of that game that if you started another 2 quarters, that they would have had the Packers. The Packers, they fended off Chicago's late game surge, 4th and 1. They held strong, and they came up with the interception to seal the game. But heartbreak has struck the Packers fan base as well as the personnel, their players. I mean, the difference that one play makes. So Green Bay is up by 9 at Denver, and the way things looked, Jordan Love is probably the MVP frontrunner. The simultaneous game happening, the LA Rams and Lions, Matthew Stafford and the Rams are down by 10 points, and they wind up coming back, and then it's 1st and 10. Green Bay takes the shot. They're going for the jugular, and Christian Watson comes down awkwardly on his chest, and Pat Surtain makes the interception, and the game entirely flips. And then later on, Micah Parsons goes down with the injury. And I just got to say, as a football fan, it was really hard to see that one of the most talented players at his position in the league, and one of the more impactful positions in the sport, and what he meant for Green Bay and this team, and giving up the 2 first-round picks. It's something, if you equate to, imagine that 2018 Chicago Bears season that felt magical. Imagine if Khalil Mack went down in Week 14 or Week 15. Pick a moment, a pivotal moment. In that LA Ram game on Sunday night, imagine that if Khalil Mack went down for the season in that game. It would have felt like your chances to win the Super Bowl are a lot slimmer without probably the best player on this team no longer on the field. Now, the hope is for the Packers that, especially in this game, that they can rely on their offense. But again, you talk about Christian Watson, his impact. He just went for 2 touchdowns against Chicago in the last matchup. He was dominating the Bears secondary without Kyler Gordon on the field. He is on IR, so it's not like the Bears are going to have him back for this game. They're still going to have that mismatch, but then the Christian Watson injury, it's just this double whammy that I feel for Packer fans. That's a part of the game, the injuries, but it does impact this one. And if you're a Bear fan, you just don't feel sorry for Green Bay, not just because they're a rival, but because of the injuries that your team has dealt with this year. Like I mentioned, Kyler Gordon, Rome Odunze didn't play in that first matchup. He's been your best wide receiver on this team. They've missed Tremaine Edmonds, that was having an all-pro type season at off-ball linebacker. There have been these guys, and then Green Bay Packer fans will say, like, we lost our star tight end in Tucker Kraft. So I know it goes both ways for injuries, and that's to say this game is going to be played, and the stakes cannot get any higher than this. And we're talking about the 2 most iconic franchises, the best and the biggest rivalry in the National Football League, and I just got to say how special that this game is going to be. As special as that first matchup was, this one's going to be even bigger, if that's possible. As large as that one felt, it feels like all of the wind in those sails for that steam that the Packers had built up from that divisional win. They put their little brother, whatever you want to call it, the Chicago Bears last couple of seasons, and then essentially that little brother got in the gym for like 6 months, got stronger, has been running uphill sprints every other day, and is right ahead of you. And now you've got to come up with a win on the road. They've done it before, but this is feeling different. This Ben Johnson team just doesn't quit. And they didn't quit in that second half. I felt like the Green Bay Packers were going to steamroll them in that first matchup. They got the lead 14-3, and they had the crowd bumping into it, and they've got bang on the drums all day rolling. And even when Chicago responds and they get the 2-point conversion, it's 14-11, Packers with that touchdown, they go up 10. Then Chicago chips away with 3, and then they get a 3 and out, and then they tie the game. It's just this Bears team is different. And why? It's because of their coach. And I know Packer fans don't fully believe it yet, but it is because of their quarterback. I've seen Caleb Williams play a number of times in warm-up, feet in front of me. This kid's arm is incredible. The ball comes out of his hand legitimately whistling. He can throw a football 100 feet on a line. And Jordan Love has a special arm. I've seen Jordan Love warm up, right in front of me as well a couple of times, and his arm is special. There's no doubt about that. But there's something about Caleb Williams and the velocity that he can generate, the off-platform stuff. And this is what's incredible is Jordan Love is as good as anybody at that off-platform, right foot, feet in the air, different arm angles, and then Caleb has that ability. Now, Jordan Love is far more polished, more developed. He's the better overall quarterback in a big moment. He's been that guy, and he's had that success. I mean, after all, this is his 6th year in the NFL, 3rd year as a starter, compared to Caleb's, 2nd season in the league. So there's no doubt that the polish is there for Jordan. But in that weather, for some of the throws that Caleb Williams was making, we're talking about 8 degrees, and he's firing the ball as if it's the same. These are not natural qualities, folks. The weather did not impact Caleb. He's throwing the football the same in a 75-degree day as September, essentially as he is in the cold. And that's a superpower. And as much as, Bear fans get on him at times, remember how lucky they were to even get Caleb Williams in the first place. And the fact that he's now in this moment and you've got Ben Johnson as the coach, I don't even know how we got here. To where the Chicago Bears are the number 1 team in the division and essentially can win this game, beat the Niners, and they clinch the division. It's that simple. They beat Green Bay, they beat San Francisco, they clinched the NFC North heading into the last game of the season and would have the number 2 seed in the conference locked up because of that win against Philadelphia. It's crazy. And Caleb has not been consistent with his accuracy. He's missed gimmies. The defense has been gashed at times, and yet there's so much left on the bone for this Bears team to improve. Now, the Green Bay Packers, at their ceiling, could be the best team in football. But that was before they lost Micah Parsons. And I know that injuries are a critical part of the teams, but we're talking about arguably the best defensive player in the conference in Micah and his impact for this team in these games. I mean, there was how many calls that the referees missed on Micah and holding calls in that first game? It was ridiculous. I'm sitting there watching I know you can't call it every play, but these are egregious. He's getting tackled to the ground and they're not calling him. And then again, Chicago's defense, they were able to get a stop that gave them the possession to score and tie that game. They didn't get the stop when it mattered, right? We're going to get into breaking that previous game down a little bit as we preview this one, but this game's going to be tight. I find it still a little bit surreal, but honestly, I cannot be happier than to look at the best rivalry in the NFL and the fact that it means this much. Like, you go back to 2013 and they played the last game of the season. Winner take all, winner wins the division, winner loses. But those weren't Super Bowl caliber teams. The Packers got beat in the first round. Then the next week, I want to say against San Francisco and Kaepernick, I believe. And, 2019, they play week one. There haven't been matchups in recent memory. In my lifetime, I'm in my my mid-20s. I don't have the experience of seeing these two teams play this late in the season, especially multiple times. It just doesn't happen. It's rare, right? The Bears and Packers, they've never met this late in the season, I believe to start in 30 years, that first matchup in December. Now, we get it. To see these helmets on television play twice in less than 14 days is incredible. I love it because we get the best of the best in this matchup. And the Green Bay Packers, they've got something working now with Matthew Golden, and that's who you're going to have to rely on for this one. Matthew Golden had a really nice performance against Denver. He stepped up in a major way and has you feeling like there could be something here. And this first round pick, he has that burst, separates extremely well. He's got contested catchability where he can high point the football, and he will need to move into that role. Now, Jaden Reed being back and healthy, that's a key contributor. So Golden doesn't have to be that number one guy, but he kind of has to move into the number two role. If you compare that to Chicago, Luther Burden, without Rome Odunze, he was called upon to be the number one target, not number two, the number one target in that game against Green Bay in the first time around, and he delivered in a major way. 67 yards, 4 catches, the 6 targets. The Bears' passing offense didn't have anything going in the first half. It was the second half, and that's when it started clicking. Yards after catch. So you look at these two rookies, and then you look at Colston Loveland for Chicago with that red zone, a 3rd and goal from the 1-yard line touchdown. You could maybe have an argument here that the Bears' top 2 targets in this game could be Burden and Loveland. Now, there was a huge surge. DJ Moore, great game against the Cleveland Browns this past week. That's big. That's what you like to see. The 2 touchdowns, 70 yards. But I'd still argue that Loveland and Burden might have a larger role. Now, we got to see. We've talked about injuries, and Luther Burden got a little bit banged up. Is he fully healthy for this one? That's a major question mark. Cole Kmet, he will be. He talked with Jeff Joniak after the game, said he's feeling okay. He'll be good to go this upcoming Saturday. I don't like that injuries have to be such a topic of discussion, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the ultimate impact of that on this one. But for a little bit here, we're going to step away from that and truly break down who's going to be on the field. Josh Jacobs is going to be on the field for the Packers. That was the play of the game. I know at the end, the interception or other plays may come to mind, but 3rd and 1 at about the Bears' 28. Josh Jacobs is surrounded. Montez Sweat, the edge, has been set on D, and he sticks his right foot in the dirt, cuts back, and he gets a large gain, gets that 1st and goal ball at the 7-yard line. That's the play of the game because it's 21-21, and he's going to lose 2 or 3 yards. Does Green Bay go for it on 4th and 3? Do they kick the field goal? I mean, they're going to have to kick a 46-yarder in the cold weather. That's no gimme. Or they go for it and you don't get it. The Bears can go down and they can kick the game-winning field goal. You also think about 3rd and goal from the 2.5-yard line. I was certain the Packers were going to throw the football. Now, we know that their play call in the run, the Josh Jacobs touchdown, shows us that they were going to go for it. If we're 4th and goal from the 1, all right, we're going to go for it. That's why he run the ball here. But he is initially stopped. His forward momentum is halted at the 1-yard line. He gets that extra surge, kind of flips around the contact, and he gets himself into the end zone for that touchdown. Josh Jacobs, the acquisition bringing him to Green Bay has been monumental. He had a heck of a day, and it's going to be fully lost after that loss to the Denver Broncos, but he may have been the best player on the field. The 40-yard touchdown run, the receiving touchdown he had, 3rd and goal from the 15. Now remember, it was an option for Denver to push them back to 2nd and goal from the 25. They decline it, so it's 3rd and goal from the 15. One-on-one, Jordan Love throws a beautiful ball where only Josh Jacobs, the running back, can catch it, and he makes that grab. And it puts the Packers up by 9 points. It felt to me like they were going to win that game at that point. And it felt to me like that Green Bay team might be the most dangerous in football. It felt like they were a Super Bowl contender. And I just got to tell you, like what I felt watching that play with that capability of a running back, it looked like what the capabilities Saquon Barkley or Jahmyr Gibbs have, right? Where are these great dynamic backs that are game changers? And you got a quarterback in Jordan Love who's been playing at this level now, and these weapons it really reminded me of like 2021 Aaron Rodgers Packers, where it's like they got a great defense. Him and Adams are the best in the league. This combination, they run the ball super well. They felt like the team to beat, and then they wound up getting beat by in 2020 in the playoffs. They get beat by Tampa in that championship game the year before. They get beat by the Niners. Like, they've been right there. This team has been so close, and that's why this sort of panic for Packer fans has set in a little bit. It's like, this is happening again. We've been to 4 NFC championship games and come up short for different number of reasons, and been to these playoffs. In the San Francisco game in 2021, right? That team first round bye, the number 1 seed, and then San Francisco, a California team, comes in here and they beat you. And then you lose to that same Niner team 2 years ago with the interception at the end from Jordan Love. And then last year against Philly, like, there's just been so much heartbreak in such tight, good football teams from Green Bay that haven't gotten over the hump. So it felt like this team was heading in that direction. It felt like that win against Chicago had it stamped that you're better and you fend them off. And then here you are 1 week later, exactly, and you're looking back at him again. Now, this is an opportunity. Adversity is an opportunity in every way. You're staring back up at Chicago and you're like, hey, guys, we win here. This is a place that we've won every time that you've come to play at Soldier Field since 2018, Week 15, where the Bears clinched the NFC North. You've won here 6 years in a row. 6 years in a row. So there's a confidence level in Matt LaFleur. He's been there for all of that. 2019, his first year, all the way through last year. And I was there. The block kick at the end, it was a weird sort of feeling where Bears fans felt confident but didn't feel confident about it, and Packer fans felt good, like they were gonna miss the kick, but also why is it this close against this Bears team right now? Shouldn't they be quitting on us? And that's the thing with Chicago. They were still, after the Hail Mary, a 46-yarder from beating the Packers. They were in overtime with the 14-3 Vikings. They were that close in the end of the fourth quarter debacle on Thanksgiving against Detroit. There were those games against really dang good football teams last year in succession. I was at the Bears-Green Bay and that Bears-Minnesota game, and it was obvious that the fans felt like things were close because of this quarterback, Caleb Williams. We got to celebrate these guys a little bit more. Jordan Love, he's getting that credit, but I still think Chicago fans fully haven't been convinced. This guy is dangerous. This is a bona fide top 8 quarterback in the NFL. He's got the size. He's got the arm. When he needs, he can break out a 24-yard run. And Chicago, this is that win. You had that win on the road against Philly. Now your fans got to see it. In 2018, the fans got to see it when they beat the Rams on Sunday night, right? A couple of weeks prior, they beat the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football, a game they got flexed into that window, and they were there. And then won on Thanksgiving against Detroit, and Eddie Jackson pick 6. And then another game, right? You got flexed to Sunday night, and you beat the team that went to the Super Bowl in LA. All right, so that was the moment. There were 2 essential wins, and that was in front of their home crowd. They hadn't had a win like that on the road against a team like Philly in so long, a team that beat the Packers, right? You beat Cleveland, they beat Green Bay. I know it's the transitive property works weird in sometimes, but that's what Chicago is telling themselves. That's what Bears fans are telling themselves to give them that confidence. You let a horse run in front long enough, what happens? It starts to believe it can win. The Bears have run in front the last 5 weeks. They've been right there in front. They've started to believe that they can win. And belief, right? Ted Lasso, if any of you. Belief is a very, very dangerous thing for people that are going up against it. This especially factored into being on the road, right? It's out of your control what happens on third down, of how crazy, how raucous that environment gets. Soldier Field may be the smallest stadium in the NFL, but that place gets loud, and it can bring it. And those Bears fans, they've had a few drinks or so, they'll start to bring it now. And so Jordan Love, your responsibility in this game, because there's going to be, it feels like, 50 points scored. That was the score last week. It felt like there was only going to be a couple points. The no score at the end of the first quarter, 14-3 at the half. It felt like it was going to be a 20-17 type of game, 21-16, something like that. This game feels like we're going to get some points. The weather might be a little bit warmer here. It's not going to be frigid, probably in the 20s. And it won't impact either team. They practice in this stuff every day, and they play in the cold. The weather won't make a difference. The essential aspect of this is it's in their building. And Lambeau's just been a house of horrors for Chicago. Right? You've got the Sunday night massacre. What was it? 42-0. Is that 2014? 42-0. 2009, Jay Cutler, your fresh new shiny quarterback, throws four or five interceptions in that one. It's been a place where your season's ended multiple times, chances to get in. A place where in 2010, the Packers team that won the Super Bowl, Chicago Bears could have eliminated Green Bay in Week 17 and beaten the Packers, and they got in. Remember Jay Cutler? Not Brandon Marshall. He was on the Bears till 2013 or 12. But Hester, Urlacher, they're on the field for that game. They had their starters and they played. So that was a jolt to momentum, wasn't it? I think it was a final score of like 10-3, something like that. So this rivalry and these late December games, and there's a little bit of weather, it's cold, and maybe you get some flurries or some actual snow. I think all of us would love some snow for this one. I don't think there would be anything more perfect. And who knows? It's probably a 50-50 shot that we see this matchup again in the playoffs, Green Bay and Chicago. It's been 15 years. Why not get it again in this matchup? And we're going to be getting it more often. That's the point, people. Is get used to Caleb Williams if you're a Packer fan. Get used to Jordan Love, Chicago Bear fans. He's on that $55 million a year contract, or 50 plus. So we're going to be seeing this for a while. It's going to keep coming. But again, right, Jordan Love is 2-1 against Caleb. Ben Johnson is 0-1 against Matt LaFleur. There are ways that the rivalry that may seem even, that may give you a chance early on, can start to slip away from you. Think about Matt Nagy. Right? He started off up 20-0 in that first game and winds up losing. And then he gets that second one, right, at Soldier Field, knock Green Bay out of playoff contention. But then 2019, week 1 beat. And he winds up 1-3 at the end of 2 years. That happened very quickly. And then 2020, it's 1-5. So that's the way it goes. I mean, then 2021, it's 1-7. It happens just like that, right? If Ben Johnson gets ahead of this thing, he could make it 1-1, and they play in the postseason. It could be 2-1. But also, a loss here could mean that you got to go to Lambeau, and then it could wind up being 0-3. And think about that narrative. If that were to happen, it's not impossible. That's what you get. Because Green Bay would fully control their destiny. I mean, we're looking at Baltimore at home and then Minnesota Vikings. That's somewhat a manageable schedule with the roller coaster ride that is Baltimore. And that defense this season, then very beatable Minnesota team you already beat on the road handedly. So this game, I'm trying to essentially serve it up on this platter and build on it. It's huge. All right, let's get a little bit further into the details and guys and impact players for this one. Let's talk about 97 for Chicago, Andrew Billings. Does he have a shot against Josh Jacobs? Not in the open field, but he can. He can be an impact player on the shorter down and distances. For Green Bay, Luke Musgrave. Right, Josh Wiley, we'll see what his health looks like. I know he came out of that game against Denver. Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks. Like, which of the... Bo Melton, he came up in a major way in that first matchup. There you go. So which of these guys is going to wind up being that Christian Watson, that first impact, or that Josh Jacobs? Melton, can he do it again? Which of these... Because you're expecting it to be somebody. Who's going to be that Randall Cobb, the Adams, the Greg Jennings, the Donald Driver, the Eddie Lacy? Like, have that big game in a huge moments. Like Jordy Nelson type impact in how many times he came up in big moments. Like, that's what you're wondering if you're a Packer fan. There's always these heroes that develop. On defense, it's guys like Clay Matthews, Sam Shields that come up consistently. For Chicago, right, in that 2018 game, it was Khalil Mack. Last year, who was it, though? It was Caleb Williams. Got the football back, less than a minute, drove him down the field. Green Bay, for some reason, had three defenders back like 20 yards. The Bears take 15, spike him, they get the field goal off. That defense was unbelievable to me from Halfley. But in any case, more with the pass. But their quarterback was the reason. Cairo Santos can't quite put it on him. He did have the original kick block in the first matchup. So which guy is going to wind up being a star in this one? Who's going to be that player that has that key play? That has that take? Like C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the first game, he comes up with that interception, huge. But then he gets burnt by Christian Watson on a touchdown. Or a guy that had the interception, he goes out of bounds. What if he's able to take that ball inside the 20? Bears didn't get any points out of that opening takeaway. All right, it's 3rd and long. Love forces it. I don't think he really saw Gardner-Johnson over the middle. It's intercepted. Bears ball. 1st and 10 at the 36. There's the pass to Loveland. Nothing materializes. And then it's a pre-snap. It's 2nd and 15 from the 41. It looked like the Bears were going to have 1st and 10 at the 19. And now they're punting. So that's how quickly that these games can flip. That's why getting points off those takeaways are critical, and they did that really well this past week against Cleveland. For the Packers, why can't they get some takeaways? Like, why can't they have a special teams play like Chicago did at the last game of the season in 2024? They had that special teams touchdown, a little bit of the trick play. Can the Packers be that team that wins the turnover margin? They didn't really get enough pressure on Caleb Williams, and the onus is going to be on a guy like Lucas Van Ness. Rashawn Gary doesn't have his running mate now. His new guy is Lucas Van Ness, and what's wild about all of this is that it was supposed to be Lucas Van Ness. Lucas Van Ness was supposed to be, this is his year. He's going to come out and he's going to break on the scene, and he just hasn't needed to. Now, there's two types of people. There's guys that, when put under pressure, they turn into diamonds and they show up to the challenge, right? Here's a guy in Micah that comes in and he's taking some of my reps, or almost all of my reps, and there's been some injuries with Van Ness. And now he's put back in the fold, and it's his responsibility to step up and be a star for this team. Here's his chance. This is what we call it, right? Adversity. You lose your best player, and now who's able to fill in? What if Lucas Van Ness had a 2-sack game and then gave Halfley, gave LaFleur, gave Packer fans, gave the Cheeseheads around the Midwest, around the United States of America, confidence that Lucas Van Ness could be a dominant star and replace the irreplaceable? Now that would be quite the story coming out of that game. Rob Demovsky, is that how we pronounce it? I think it is. That's the story that would come out of that one. Because you already know what's going to be written if they lose this game to Chicago. The season will be over, right? That's what essentially will be written, right? You get beaten by the team that couldn't beat you. The pass rush just couldn't get there. Caleb making too many plays with his legs. You think back to the way Micah was chasing Caleb around the field in that first matchup. He was tired, but he was getting to him. I haven't seen anyone this season track him that well. There hasn't been anyone in this league that could go step for step with a guy that can get up to over 20 miles an hour, by the way. He's done it 5 times this season. There's been 5 times this year he's done it. There's 10 total times a quarterback's been over 20 miles an hour this season. That's the type of wheels we're talking about, folks. And Micah, step for step, 6'3", 255 pounds. You can't replace that. But what if you can replace it with run defense or a strip sack fumble? Something that he didn't do in that first game. Bears backed up after a punt from the Packers. Caleb strip sack, Green Bay ball inside the 5, or the Bears are driving deep in Packer territory. There's a big sack, and it's Green Bay football. Like, these types of plays, they change games. It's just that doubt inserter, just inserting doubt into your mind. This Green Bay secondary has been one of the best in the league because of this front. So this is where it's going to really, truly hurt them. Is the Green Bay Packers secondary is far better with Parsons on the field because you don't have to cover as long. You understand 2.75, 2.8 seconds is all I got to cover for. Because number one's going to get there. 2018, think about those takeaways. And that's secondary. Kyle Fuller, Prince Amukamara, Eddie Jackson. These guys didn't have to cover for that long in the back end. They knew it was going to get there. Ball was going to have to come out sooner. And the Packers, without that now, they got to cover Luther Burden down the field a little bit longer, or Colston Loveland, his creative ability, and DJ Moore now, or Zacchaeus or Duvernay. What type of creative ability now is there for Caleb without that speed demon, heat-seeking mother-freaking missile coming after him? Without that, it's as if you're giving him not another second, but another quarter, another half a second, and that's an eternity in the National Football League, especially for these types of players and these types of guys. So just think about Ben Johnson's game plan now and what he has to essentially change. Right? He went against Myles Garrett, and that was after Micah, and now he was supposed to be going up against Parsons, Nick Bosa, and then Hutchinson. There's no Hutchinson for San Francisco. There's no Bosa for San Francisco. There's no Fred Warner. It's really tough to see all these guys that have been going down across the league. I can't remember a year we've seen it like this. Hopefully there's no one else from either of these teams that it happens to. How about the Chicago Bears and the way they ran the football in that second half? All right. They finished with 138 yards on 4.3 yards a carry against GB. Pretty good day on the ground, I'd say. The Packers, what happens if, I think that first touchdown, it was 3rd and 10. Now, this is the importance of a pass rush. What happens if Chicago just gets there and they pressure Love and he can't throw an accurate pass? You're kicking a field goal. All right, that's the impact of star players. So I'm curious about Dennis Allen and his approach defensively. The Bears couldn't get there in the first game. I don't know what would change for them to get there to Jordan Love in this second one. Most likely it comes down to pressure again. You got to live and die by it. The Bears died by it 3 times. Just going to man coverage and getting beat. Jaquan Brisker, not there quick enough. CJ Gardner-Johnson, burnt, right, on the Bo Melton touchdown. Right, same type of thing. I don't think Byard was able to get over there quick enough. I think Dennis Allen is like, hey, if it's 4-man rush or just sitting in cover 2, Jordan Love's going to beat us. But if we do send pressure, he has beaten us, but we're going to beat him a couple of times. You're going to get us, right? Green Bay, they're going to score 17 points. The Packers' offense is too good to not score 17 points. They're going to score that. But what if that's it? Because we can force him into an errant throw, or we can get a sack and pop that football out. That we can make Matt LaFleur confident that, all right, we're going to go for it on 4th and 3 from their 47, and you're able to get that stop, shorter field, and that can lead to points. Right? So you're essentially you're rolling the dice. They're rolling the dice, and that's the way you have to play it as a defensive coordinator. There is a strength to every defense, and there is a weakness to every defense. When you're blitzing, the strength is you're going to get to the quarterback quicker. They're going to have less time to throw. And the weakness is they're going to have somebody most likely open, or there's going to be more space to get the football to said guy that is open, right? See, that's essentially the trade-off you have to play. And if you're a team that can get pressure with 4 guys, like the 2020 Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Eagles the last couple of seasons, you can have 7 guys in coverage and really talented players in the secondary. It is maybe the biggest luxury like in sports outside of just a healthy, consistent, elite Pro Bowl, all pro level quarterback, like a guy for 10 years. That you're just going to win 10, 11 games every single season because you've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league. It's something like that. That's what it is when you can get pressure. It's a very rare thing. That's why teams like the Rams, teams like the Seahawks, teams like the Broncos, the Green Bay Packers, they just stand out because you can get pressure with 4. And then if you blitz or you make it look like you may not, right? You've got 6, 7 guys by the line and you don't know the pressure is coming, or if it does, there's one guy unblocked. It's mayhem, and it's very tough to deal with. Then you can get beats. All the great defenses, occasionally, they give up the big play. It happens. Or on a run play, Denver, the explosive from Josh Jacobs, it happens. But at the end of the day, they don't care that maybe they call themselves the best defense in the league, and maybe they are the best defense in the league. They don't care they gave up 26. At the end of the day, they got the steps necessary to beat the Packers. And so they control their path to wind up getting the number 1 seed in the AFC because of it. Let's go into a little bit of more of this run game, because Chicago and what they do from an interior perspective and then with these backs, it's a key point that I want to bring up. Right, I'm very curious if Eric Bieniemy, their running back coach, had this message. If you remember on 3rd and 1 that set up the 4th and 1 last play of the game, Kyle Monangai got hit, sort of jolted a little bit backwards. This doesn't really happen for him. So there's a key learning sort of part to this, right? He went through that hole assuming he had space. He was going to try and break it, maybe score, get 7, 8 yards. But he really should have kept his balance, kept his feet firmly planted on the ground, and been bracing for contact. Because if he does, that contact comes, and maybe he gets pushed back a little bit, but then his surge, he picks up that first down. Why he didn't pick it up is because he left his feet, and he wasn't able to keep that forward momentum. So I really am curious about Bieniemy, and if he's able to take him down guy and say, hey, kid, like, I get what you're trying to do and make a play, but 3rd and 1, if you just keep your feet and your butt under you and you run with balance, like, even if you're contacted, there's like nobody in this league that's initially just going to stuff you if you're going slow through the hole and making sure that you get the first down. So that's something here where I feel like Monangai's just got to be a little bit patient with that. Say, hey, like, a 2-yard gain here is the same thing as a 7-yard gain, because you just got to get this first down. So that's a really cool moment where, like, I remember back to being in meeting rooms with coaches in college where I was, listening to sort of their teaching points, and that was one for me. And I'm just curious about they went back to implement it, watch that, that run, go back and watch it. Tell me what you think about Monangai. And if I know he would have, but if he would have picked up that first down if his style was a little bit slower and just braced for that contact and then pushed forward. That's one. So I think that could be a positive that did happen. The Bears lost that game and they're still in this position. So the world, the sky fell down. Everything bad that you thought might happen, the bad thing, the horror happened. You lost to the Green Bay Packers and still you're in first place. 7 days later, it's bizarre. It's wild. And the Detroit Lions lose to the Rams, and so you're back to 2 games ahead of them. So there's an opportunity here that's really special. You already beat Philly. The Rams, they're very dangerous, but there's a path here, and there's a really scary one. And that's what I want to really stress outside of the X's and O's a little bit to Packer fans is before the Bears-Browns game, the narrative, guys like LaShawn McCoy are saying that if Shedeur Sanders beats Caleb Williams, he's better than Caleb Williams. And there's guys like Mike Greenberg and Randy Moss and Teddy Bruschi that are picking the Browns to beat Chicago, and they were wrong. They didn't. I've made picks this season. I've been wrong a ton. So you're going to be seeing this narrative the whole week because the Packers lose Micah Parsons. They're no longer Super Bowl contenders. That cannot enter the building. I don't think it fully will. I know it'll be felt. But as a fan, you get into the postseason, it is truly one game. Like, you have an ability, you walk out those players, it's 11 guys. There's a Lucas Van Ness on the field instead of number 1. That's the difference. And so somebody steps up. And so someone else makes a play. It's just the nature of what happens. It's going to come down to another guy. And maybe there's a lull and it's down, but that just means that the slack needs to be picked up elsewhere. That maybe you're playing a tighter game with Minnesota week 18, or you're not going to get up 14-3 on Chicago, and maybe you're down 7-6, or maybe you're down 17-10 at halftime or in the third quarter, right? And it's playing out a little bit different. That's what I'm excited about, is how do the Packers come back? They're hit in the face hard. They're knocked fully on the mat. That's to say, look, any team that makes the playoffs is a Super Bowl contender. You're 4 games away. You're right there. You got a great quarterback playing. It's the same thing with Chicago. They get in the postseason, they're a Super Bowl contender. They can run the football. They can take the ball away. They got a quarterback with a ton of weapons. They can protect their quarterback, and Caleb in these bigger games runs the ball. It's very possible that either the Bears or the Packers could represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And, wow, that's a sentence that hasn't been probably said in a while. I mean, Green Bay, for as good as this team has been, you might say there's been that 2020 or 2021 or 2012, those are better teams. But 2010, where does the 2010 Green Bay Packer team rank in Packer teams the last 30 years? I would argue that it's definitely not in the top 10. That team was not as good as one of those. I would argue like 3 of those teams that went to the championship game and lost, right? Just this background just kind of quit on me for a second here. We're just going to get this back in here. Sorry about that for a second, folks. Get this log back in. But I think you know what I'm saying, right? Like, this Green Bay Packer team, despite not having that sort of title and that narrative from the media, still has an opportunity to do everything those teams did, because you're in the moment currently right now, right? So that's ultimately what I think my message is to Packer fans, is don't be down in the dumps. Don't be upset. Like, this has happened to other teams this year. And for this one against Chicago, I know there's a different feel. There's a scariness. There's a intimidation factor with that offensive line and like that bully ball that they're able to play, and a quarterback that can use his legs like that. And who who comes up and makes that play for the Packers? Is it Quay Walker? Is it Edgar and Cooper? Who's able to contain Caleb? And for Chicago, just beat them. This is the best opportunity to beat. I mean, last year at the end of the year, Love comes out of the game, and it's a great win overall. But this is your shot. Like, this is the statement, and this is your chance to, like, knock your divisional foe fully on that tarp and say, no, we have the power now in this division, in this conference. I don't care if it's year one with Johnson. 2018, I think Bears fans will tell you they feel like that team could have won a Super Bowl. And they'd go back and be amazed, like the way they felt in the moment. Didn't feel like that was it. Like that was going to be the one shot. It was year one with that defense. Or this year, it doesn't feel like it. This team is better than they will be next year or in 2 years with Caleb and another system with Ben Johnson. But that's for me to tell you guys, like, if you're a Bear fan, enjoy, even if you're down by 10 or if you're down by 11. Like, I'm enjoying that Packer-Bear game, even with the Bears are down by 11 points. Like, this is great football. These two teams are really good football teams. So for this one, just, like, enjoy every moment of it, because it's going to be nerve-wracking. The Bears are the cardiac Bears. It comes down to tight windows, so I get it. That win against the Browns was nice. It was not in doubt in the fourth quarter. They had a little lull there for, the end of the first half and then the the first 8 minutes of the second half. But in the end, it wasn't a competitive game in the fourth quarter, or really overall the whole day. It was never in doubt. From the first possession, you punt it and they got the ball inside the 1. You get the ball at the 40 and you scored. DeAndre Swift to the edge and he scores. And then Caleb hits DJ Moore for the touchdown, and that's it. And they had that type of defensive performance. So, like, this team is special, and every team is different. You lose guys. You're not going to have, most likely, Jaquan Brisker, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Andrew Billings. The combination of, like, all these guys, the team changes somewhat a little bit. In 2018, the Bears lost Adrian Amos, for example, the safety. He had the interception to beat Chicago in that week 1 game at Soldier Field. So you lose key players. He's gone. You had Danny Trevathan and Roquan Smith, and that defense who had a really good core. Akeem Hicks was there and Leonard Floyd, but Amos in the back end, that changed. You lost a little bit of a piece of that team. And now there's going to be a part of this team that's gone. So I guess my sentimental message here is, like, look, guys, this is rare. You never know when we will see a Chicago Bear Green Bay Packer game that's where they're both 5 games over 500 in the month of December. Playoff implications, division on the line. Because, all right, it was fun, right? Minnesota, Detroit. They're playing for the 1 seed in the conference. They're having these big stakes. The loser gets the 5 seed. But it just felt weird. Right? Chicago and Green Bay, that's the glue of the NFC North. Detroit, it's great to see them having success, and they're great. They're a fun team to root for. And the Minnesota Vikings, for example, and them having success, like, they got Justin Jefferson, one of the best in the league, to do it. But it's not the same as the orange and navy or the yellow and green. It's far different to the impact on the eyes, and to be a part of this. And I've been a part of this rivalry my entire life and experienced it. It's near and dear to me. So to be able to make this video, I appreciate you all so much. So as far as a prediction here, as we get towards this, I do believe Chicago is going to come out and run the football well the entire day. I think that it'll be a little bit slower from the get-go, but by the second quarter, you really start to see them lean on the Packers. I think they run the football for 150. Caleb Williams, without the threat of Parsons, he's able to extend plays, get outside, and pick up a couple first downs. I think he runs for over 45 yards in this one. The Bears in the red zone, that's a key. It's a key part of it. How many trips do they get down there? What do they do with those possessions? Let's flip it to the Green Bay Packers. Without Christian Watson, without the threat of explosives, Chicago gets a bit more dangerous. They get explosive. They feel like their offense can create and get the ball down the field. And so we see an aggressive Bears defense. And I think we see a takeaway or two from Chicago, where there's a Jordan Love that's trying to press and put his team in a position where maybe it's not a tight game in the fourth quarter, and we see an ill-advised throw from scoreboard pressure because Chicago's putting him in a tight spot, or a strip sack fumble can happen. I think that we do see those takeaways from an opportunistic Chicago Bears defense. This one is at home. The Chicago Bears are 5-1 at Soldier Field this year. Teams are 2-10-1 after playing the Bears that held up this past week when the Packers played the Broncos. Teams this year, after playing the Broncos in Denver, are 1-5 in their next game. Those statistics held up throughout the year, and now we get a chance to see if that 1-5 turns into 2-5 or if it turns into 1-6 overall. You just played a physical Bears team, then you go play one of the more physical teams in the league, and then you got to go back to Chicago. You could see this Green Bay team potentially get leaned on, and it doesn't have to be the second half for it to happen, or this front really start to get momentum. A Nungai and DeAndre Swift, and then Caleb's legs having to cover him, and that having an impact and a toll on this Packer defense fully overall. I think Chicago wins this game. They are about a point underdogs in this one. Originally, it was about a 3-point margin. Before the injuries came in there, it was, 3.5 or so, and now it's down to about a point. People are saying this is a toss-up. A lot of money is going on Chicago because of the way that second half went, and that's a dangerous thing to take momentum. I don't even know how you take momentum from one game into another if it's possible, but they're somehow doing it. If you're Green Bay, the best way to stamp that out, get the ball and score. Get the ball first, take the ball and score, and take the air out of that building. Don't let the Bears get the ball first and just go down the field. Like, if they do, come up with a stop. Worst case, you hold them to 3. You get the ball first, put up points on the board. Get up on the board, settle in, and essentially remind this team the way that it went this past week, the way it's gone for the last 25 years, essentially. I'm going to take the Chicago Bears to win this game 24-17. I think that they win this game by a 24-20. That's 7 margin. I don't even know. Oh, that would have been very aggressive to pick the Bears to win by a touchdown over Green Bay. Bears 24-20. Packers with a chance at the end of the game to get a touchdown, and they fall just a little bit short. I appreciate all of you guys so much for watching this video. It's so much fun to break these down. If you haven't been here before, this is Blitz with Blender. My name is Josh Blender. I make NFL and college content weekly, getting you football fans set and ready for these matchups, the biggest matchups of the season. We're in mid-December. Christmas is coming up, the New Year, Hanukkah, for those of you that celebrate it, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody. It's the holiday season. Happy. And then we've got great football. We got a great game on Thursday night. The Rams and the Seahawks, game of the year in the West. Same implications here in the NFC North. We got the college football playoffs on Friday night and then Saturday. And then as we head to New Year's Eve with New Year's Day games like the Rose Bowl. So all of these matchups, I break them all down. I get you set and ready. So if you have not already, subscribe for more content in the future. Get down in the comments. Let me know where I'm wrong. What am I missing here? Who wins this game? Why would it be the Packers? Why should it be Chicago? And why you agree with me? Subscribe for more content. I appreciate all of you guys so much for watching this one. I'll try and get down there and engage with all of you as soon as I can. Appreciate you all so much. See you next time.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blender. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Blender.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.